Gold Clash. On a note.
Two.
Okay, no, it's fine.
No, what I mean by this one, if someone else wants to talk, if you are done talking, it's not automatically become active.
Some of them will be talking.
Yes, they can talk all over, chief. No problem.
Okay.
There will now be an opportunity for silent prayer or meditation. Please be seated. Honorable members, there are some house rules that I've got to give before we continue. You can see that we have a challenge of the podium from where our members should speak. So they complain that they really want to see the executive. So we made this arrangement that we have these two desks here reserved for speakers. But if you are comfortable in standing on the podium, speaking from the podium, you will be allowed. But these are reserved places for the speakers. Without much ado, can we have our secretariat to read the order of the day?
Debate on vote number 4, Home Affairs Appropriation Bill.
We call to the podium the Honorable the Minister of Home Affairs.
Chairperson, Honorable Ministers, Deputy Ministers, Honorable Members, we are honored to present to this EPC today our budget vote number 4 for 2014-2015 on this, the 20th anniversary of our freedom. Home Affairs carries the responsibility of ensuring that all South Africans have an identity and status and maintain a credible and secure national population register. The past 20 years have also seen our young democracy become full part of the international community of nations, requiring DHA effectively to manage the entry and exit of persons to and from South Africa. This carries with it immense development benefits for our country, but it also has serious risk implications that need to be mitigated. It is this evolution that informs our 3 departmental outcomes. In pursuit of these objectives, the budget of the Department of Home Affairs is set at 6.6 billion rand for this financial year. Departmental programs receive 4.9 billion rand. The Film and Publications Board will receive 79 million rand. The Electoral Commission will receive 1.6 billion rand. And the Government Printing Works is now fully self-funding. In this regard, I have delegated to the Deputy Minister the responsibility for the Front Office Improvement Project, Asylum Seeker Management and Legal Services, about which she shall later elaborate during her own speech. Chairperson, one of our top priorities is to clean up the National Population Register, which continues for historical reasons to contain significant inaccuracies. One of the main methods to clean up the NPR has been the ongoing National Population Registration Campaign, a key target of which has been to persuade all parents to register their children within 30 days of birth. This remains a daunting challenge in our country, where late registrations of birth for historical reasons remain a significant feature, resulting in significant breaches in and pollution of our NPR. During the past financial year, 64% of all births were registered within 30 days, which constituted an improvement of 5% on the prior financial years. We have thus far inaugurated live birth registration in 391 hospitals and health facilities across the country and intend enhancing our partnership with the Departments of Health and Basic Education in support of birth registration. I would like to make this important announcement that I intend ending all late registration of birth by 30th December 2015, after which all applications for late registration of birth would go through an appeal and adjudication process. Timely registration of birth must and will soon be the only way into the National Population Register. This calls for a national effort involving all patriotic South Africans keen to ensure we have a clean National Population Register to get involved in the final mopping up stages of the LRP. In this regard, the 264 stakeholder forums that have been formed can play an important coordinating role. One of the most tangible elements of our effort to build a national identity system is the Smart ID card, which we began rolling out in October 2013 in 70 designated Smart ID card offices countrywide. Thus far, over 300,000 cards have been issued, and an additional 70 offices will have Smart ID card application capability by the end of this financial year to support our rollout target of 1.5 million cards. 30 of the 70 offices will be ready for Smart ID card issue within 100 days. We are investigating ways to leverage partnerships with the post office and the banks in the Smart Card rollout, the details of which we will announce when they are ready. The dramatic improvements of recent years in the issuing of ID books and passports have also been sustained, with 92% of first issue ID books issued within 54 days and 96% of passports applied for through live capture being issued within 13 working days. People aged 60 and above, as well as 16-year-olds, are the only group currently invited to replace their ID books with Smart ID cards free of charge. When we reach the target of 140 Smart ID card offices, we will then completely stop issuing green ID books to 16-year-olds. The Smart ID card is also an example of technological innovation, with advanced technology, including biometric data, which has ensured that it has not been breached in the 10 months it has been in circulation. The South African Smart ID card was awarded the Regional ID Document of the Year Award in 2013 at the Asian, Middle East and African Security Printing Conference. This is a world-class South African developed product which will have an enormous positive impact on our country and economy, with significant potential applications in financial services, governance, retail, and ICT. The opportunity is there for local technology entrepreneurs and SMMEs, Minister Zulu, to develop commercial solutions which take advantage of the card's functionality. Chairperson, we must manage immigration securely and effectively in a way which benefits our country and society, which hits our international obligations and manages risks to national security. Cabinet has assigned DHA lead responsibility to establish the Border Management Agency, which will be central to securing all land, air, and maritime ports of entry and support the efforts of the South African National Defence Force to address the threats posed to as well as the porousness of our borderline. We are currently undertaking a feasibility study to determine all the practicalities of a future BMA, the findings and proposals of which will guide the legislative process subsequently. All relevant government departments are being engaged in an intergovernmental consultative process through a project management office we have established. By the end of 2016, we hope to have the Border Management Agency established. We have upgraded infrastructure at 11 high-volume ports of entry, including Beit Bridge and Maseru Bridge, and expanded the enhanced movement control system to 13 additional ports of entry. During the previous year, we facilitated the movement of 39 million travelers in and out of the Republic, demonstrating that our capability to manage the flow of people in and out of the country is becoming increasingly efficient and robust. In this regard, we draw attention to the new immigration regulations, which took effect on May 26, 2014, following amendments to the immigration legislation, which had grown outdated in the context of new complex challenges, as well as facilitating the streamlining of our permitting regime, improving the administration of our visa issuance, and regulating human movement into and out of South Africa. The new regulations enhance our security by addressing areas of weakness, risk, and abuse. Opportunistically, South Africa is being advised to drop or relax visa requirements in a world where they are required of South Africans when traveling abroad and where security has become a matter of global concern. We reject with contempt any suggestion that these regulations are part of an Afrophobic agenda to keep Africans or any nationality for that matter out of South Africa. After all, South Africa cannot be separated from Africa, and hence we can neither shut ourselves off Africa, nor can we shut our eyes to the enormous risks that the new world possesses in abundance. Our commitment to African unity and development is resolute, and our track record in this regard speaks for itself. We value the contribution of fellow Africans from across the continent living in South Africa, and that is why we have continued to support the AU and SADC initiatives to free human movement. But this cannot happen haphazardly, unilaterally, or to the exclusion of security concerns. And neither can it happen without standardizing population registration and immigration legislation and addressing development challenges everywhere. Risks to any country on our continent have a direct impact on our own country. After all, we have not unilaterally removed existing visa waiver agreements we have with fellow African countries and are keen to enter into more such agreements as we are satisfied that more African countries are conducting civic registration of their nationals. At this point, I wish to announce that we are in the final stages of deliberations about the Zimbabwean special dispensation, which will expire in December this year. I am mindful of the anxiety among Zimbabwean nationals in possession of this special dispensation issued in 2010, but I shall announce my decision in August this year. Future policy development will focus, amongst other issues, on a framework the better to deal with economic migration, many of whom have tended to pose as asylum seekers. We are actively seeking a solution on how best to separate asylum seekers and refugees from economic migrants. In this regard, work is underway to introduce a nationwide discussion on a new international migration policy framework that shall take into consideration current realities and future management perspectives. Chairperson, the Department of Home Affairs contributes to economic development in several ways, and our contribution as an enabler of tourism is irrefutable. Our identity documents help create the platform of trust and accountability which underpins our competitive and sophisticated financial systems. Our ability efficiently to facilitate large numbers of international visitors across ports of entry has enabled our positioning as a trusted host for major international events. Our immigration management enables us to bring in workers and investors who contribute to our economic growth. Our staff have done well to eliminate visa and permit backlogs and proactively assist businesses with immigration issues. The new immigration regulations will make it easier to source critical skills from overseas. Foreign nationals possessing critical skills can now apply for and be granted a critical skills visa even without a job, allowing them to enter the country and seek work for a period of up to 12 months. For some time now, business stakeholders have been asking for families of workers to be considered as a unit, an international best practice which the new regulations now include. These specific improvements and our commitment to responsiveness to business needs in general will make it easier for South Africa to attract the critical skills and investment our economy needs. I am further proud to announce that all the 11 visa facilitation centers are now operational throughout South Africa, and results have begun to show in the sense that 4,000 applications were received in June, and the turnaround time for adjudication has already been reduced. Chairperson, the Department of Home Affairs currently uses inefficient, outdated manual systems which both hamper our ability to offer a speedy service to customers and are vulnerable to fraud and corruption. We have thus embarked on a modernization program to secure, integrate, and automate all our systems and create a paperless data environment. Customers will benefit from greater efficiency, convenience, and security. Working together with the South African Revenue Service, we have successfully implemented the enhanced movement control system in 58 points of entry and automated the live capture for smart ID cards and passports in 70 offices nationwide. We have upgraded infrastructure in physical offices and technology at the government printing works and in all the offices with live capture and smart ID card capability. We have also conducted training and change management in all 70 offices for front and back office officials on new automated processes. Key in the modernization project is the development of, 1, the National Identification System, which will replace the current National Population Register and refugee systems. 2, an integrated border management solution, which will include the Trusted Traveler Program, e-visa, and e-permit system. 3, data cleanup of key immigration and civic systems. And 4, further rollout of live capture smart ID card to the remaining identified offices. We will further design dedicated smart ID card offices in each province rather than implement the smart ID card system in all offices. Chairperson, I am convinced that the leadership demonstrated by each and every one of our employees is a critical engagement and ingredient to our success. Leadership development, therefore, will be a consistent theme over the next term right into the future. It is critical that our staff be service-oriented, professional, competent, committed, ethical, and incorruptible. High standards and accountability are no longer negotiable at Home Affairs. Ongoing challenges include fighting corruption and overburdened staff due to understaffing amidst resource constraints. Inconsistent customer service is also a large challenge, and we are committed to ensuring our customers consistently experience excellent customer service. Our progress in developing a new cadre of Home Affairs officials includes the establishment of a learning academy, offering our officials high-quality, accredited courses in partnership with universities. Our commitment to youth development is demonstrated through our internship and cadet programs. These young colleagues have had great impact already, having been immensely instrumental in the reduction of the backlog of permit backlogs. We have undergone a branding campaign to ensure all frontline staff wear an updated uniform and name tags to ensure they are easily identifiable, pleasant, and approachable. Other key priorities this year are the employment and development of women, people with disabilities, as well as talent enhancement initiatives. Chairperson, in the past 8 months, the Government Printing Works has produced 300,000 smart ID cards for the Department of Home Affairs. Since 2009, it has seen its revenue double to 757 million rand, with an envisaged 2- or 3-fold increase in revenue over the next 5 years. GPW is midway through a 5-year, 300 million rand capital program to upgrade all printing machines to state-of-the-art technology, as well as multi-year renovation and relocation projects. Thus far, the Passport and Smart ID Card Factory and High Security Printing Division are operational, with the Passport, Smart ID Card and Examination Papers Dispatch Center coming on stream in 2015. Over the coming few years, Government Printing Works plans to complete its transition from a government component into a state-owned enterprise. By 2017, Government Printing Works will have consolidated its position as the leading security printer in Africa and one of the leaders in the field worldwide. Chairperson, the Film and Publications Board has found innovative ways to discharge its mandate, particularly of protecting children from premature exposure to potentially harmful and explicit content. It now uses FPB Online, an online application system which enables them to release classification decisions within well under 24 hours. To adapt to the growth of digital media, it is exploring online distribution agreements with major content distributors, enabling the companies to classify on its behalf in accordance with its regulatory guidelines. Furthermore, the Film and Publications Board also strategically engages internationally and within SADC on initiatives to prevent child pornography and child trafficking. The FPB continues to work with the Department of Home Affairs, SARS, and the SAPS, and has recently conducted a destruction of more than 8,000 illegally distributed material in Komati Port. Chairperson, during the past 20 years, we have, from a painful past of discrimination, exclusion, neglect, and indignity, toiled hard to forge a department committed and equal to the tasks of restoring dignity to all South Africans and playing a critical role in the socio-economic development as well as security of our nation. Over the next 5 years and towards Vision 2030, with your support, we can do even more to establish and maintain a secure national identity system and facilitate the secure, efficient movement of people. I have outlined the work that our department is doing to ensure all South Africans can access their rights. The Deputy Minister shall add to this. I close my remarks by requesting all South Africans to carry out their responsibilities that come with these rights we have outlined. On behalf of the Department of Home Affairs, and as part of this national effort, I ask the following 5 things of every citizen. Firstly, prize South African citizenship. Citizenship is our precious birthright and deserves our protection and respect. Participating in illegal schemes to extend citizenship to people who do not deserve it devalues our hard-won citizenship, undermining our national development, security, and social cohesion. The Department of Home Affairs, in conjunction with the police and other security agencies, will continue to combat identity fraud and identity-related corruption, fighting both fraudsters and colluders alike with the same tenacity. Secondly, register the birth of all children before you leave the hospital or within 30 days of their birth, in order to ensure your child's identity and status is recognized and safeguarded. and to help us secure our national population register. Thirdly, apply for your identity document
Honorable
at 16
Minister,
years.
the time has expired.
Thank you.
Call on the next speaker, Honorable B.L. Mashile.
Thank you. Honorable Chairperson, the Minister, the Deputy Minister, honorable members, and the audience present. The Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs met with the Department on the 24th of June 2014 for a briefing on its annual performance and the budget for 2014-2015. The entities that report to the Department were not engaged, although the Department briefed us on the budgetary allocations for this financial year. Chairperson, we did this engagement because the committee has a mandate to do oversight over this department and its entities, namely the Electoral Commission, Film and Publications Board, and the Government Printing Works. The deliberations continued on the 24th of June and on the 1st of July 2014, where all questions raised were discussed and clarified, whereafter a unanimous report of the committee was agreed to on consensus. I can say to this House that the report we have tabled is an agreed product of all parties represented in our committee. Chairperson, we are debating the budget of the Department of Home Affairs, whose mandate can be categorized into two: the mandate on civic services and the mandate on immigration services. The civic services mandate charges the department to be the custodian, protector, and verifier of the identity and status of citizens and permanent residents in South Africa. Our population register should reflect true status of our citizens in this country. We applaud the department on achievements made over the past years in areas of shorter turnaround times on identity documents, travel documents, and birth certificates. While we would like to encourage similar efficiencies in other civic documents, we want to raise the matter of improving security on all our civic documents, inclusive of their production processes. Of course, we will also encourage further efforts to make these services accessible in deep rural areas where we currently lack reach. Our clarion call is that all these should be balanced out with security of our offices, our processes, our systems, the state, and our documents themselves. No compromise on this matter, Honorable Minister. Chairperson, the mandate on immigration services charges the department to control, regulate, and facilitate immigration and the movement of persons through our ports of entry. The department also services foreign missions and determines the status of asylum seekers and refugees in accordance with international obligations. The committee is satisfied that the department has realized that the work that they do has serious implications on the security of our country. This mandate places the obligation on the department to ensure that there is certainty on those who sought asylum and those that are refugees. We expect the department to fulfill this mandate and secure our country. We cannot, as a country, afford that the strength of our security to be determined by non-citizens. It is the duty of the department to plug off all loopholes that are exploited by non-citizens to acquire our documents illegally. The new immigration regulations should be given time for implementation. During the transitional period, glitches may be experienced here and there. South Africans must be patient enough, as any change has never been nice to all. We are convinced that the department has a correct level of consciousness on these regulations and their intentions. We appreciate the open door policy of the minister regarding any unintended consequences, if there will be any. We will, of course, continue to engage the department as a committee to be briefed on progress being made during the implementation of the new immigration regulations. The Chairperson, the entities I spoke about reporting to this department fulfill crucial responsibilities in the work of the state. All of us know that the IEC continues to shine in organizing and managing elections in the country. We are just from the successful 2014 national and provincial general elections. We are keen to know how they performed in terms of their plans? Are there lessons learned, and what steps will be taken moving forward? We do not doubt the capacity and integrity of the Commission in doing this work. Also, we have the government printing works, whom we will engage moving forward to appreciate their plans of spending the resources allocated to them. We do understand the reasons of cutting down the target of ID smart cards for this financial year in order to first ensure security of the systems. We, however, encourage the department to attend earnestly to the expansion of the system with necessary speed. There is high level of acceptance of this card in the country, and access should not be unduly delayed. The Film and Publications Board role in evaluating the films to be screened within our borders speaks volume. The work on managing pornography and adult shops brings morality in our society. The Chairperson, this department is on a transformation path to make a serious radical shift from the one that used to be plagued with a myriad of challenges, systemic inefficiencies, and unlawful acts. The freedom we attained has brought new challenges that require a transformed department to mitigate all risks emanating from both inside and outside the country. When this transformation is completed, we are told that we will see a department with patriotic, disciplined, security-conscious, professional, human officials. Then we'll see a department with modernized information technology systems for security and service delivery. We'll also see a department that's with secure identity and immigration services and with a high capacity to secure critical systems and also fully integrated into the justice, crime prevention, and security cluster. Surely these objectives will put the department on a high road and make a serious contribution to social cohesion and the National Development Plan. Chairperson, the department is allocated 6.2 billion for this financial year, inclusive of allocations to the related entities. The department experienced a reduction of 371 million from the 2013-14 budget. We therefore caution the department that critical services should be prioritized and not suffer the budget cut. This budget provides for Program 1. In Program 1, we've got the corporate services sub-program should not be compromised at all. From the annual report of 2012-2013, this sub-program underachieved on its targets and hence need to perform better moving forward. This program will ensure that we have professional cadres that will direct the work of this department as resolved in our 53rd National Conference. Also, this budget provides for Program 2. The significant reduction is seen here, and we like the department to minimize, if not eliminate, impact on critical work areas of this program. We are informed that this reduction is counterbalanced by own-generated fees and on issuing of certain documents. The department should ensure that the income generated is sustained for this program not to suffer. Chairperson, as ANC-led government, we have committed ourselves in cleaning the population register. In this regard, the campaign targeted to persuade parents to register the birth of their children within 30 days of their birth is supported. The decentralization of the birth registration to majority of our health facilities seeks to put life to this campaign. The National Development Plan requires accurate data for planning and hence the use of secure, integrated and automated processes and systems will create a paperless data environment less prone to loss and unlawful acts. Also within this program is the funding of the Electoral Commission for the work on 2016 municipal elections. We call upon the Commission to upgrade the security and processes as people continue to sharpen their skills to undermine the Commission's integrity. Also on Program 3, this program wherein the facilitation of scarce skills and critical skills acquisition from outside the country is enhanced. The focus on economic development require enabling immigration regulations that allow migration of these skills into our country. Chairperson, the department should attend to a number of challenges which hamper the ability to function and deliver services. The negative public perception and the general Batupile principles, the sometimes mix-up of photos in ID documents, This talks to the records management system that requires to be digitized to largely remove human error. The President has, in his State of the Nation address, declared war on corruption. Tightening the processes and the document security is a non-negotiable requirement and obligation for this department. We therefore expect this department to deal with all unlawful activities in its effort to make a contribution to a corruption-free administration. We thus believe an enhanced IT-based operations will go a long way to achieving this goal. I believe that will also contribute to the efficiency and less unlawful activities that the President promised our citizens. The Chairperson, as I move towards conclusion, I want to point out that the radical shift in the manner we do our work is happening. Let us restate the immediate registration of birth of our children within 30 days, the reduction in turnaround time for identity documents and passports, the tightening of immigration regulations to enhance the security of our services and the country, the attention to the posture of our frontline offices, the state-of-the-art new smart ID cards introduced, the proposal to relocate the refugee reception offices to borderlines. All these are a serious radical shift responding to efficiency, skills enhancement, security consciousness, image problem, and transformation of the department as the fifth administration would like to be remembered. Together we are moving South Africa forward. I therefore unapologetically want to declare here that the ANC supports the budget vote for of Home Affairs. I thank you.
Before I call on the next speaker, can I just make this members of the public to ensure that this House, we uphold the decorum that it befits. Can we please not take pictures from the gallery there? Secondly, speakers, there is no clock to alert you of your time, when your time expires. So the officer presiding here will alert you when you have 1 minute left, and apologize for those who have just spoken before the decision I'm taking now. And I hope that you all have the speakers list. Maybe the other thing that I will do is to make sure I remind you how many minutes you have as you go to the podium. Thank you. I will now call the Honorable M.H. Hussein. You have 12 minutes.
Honorable Chair, we meet at a time just 20 years since the father of our nation, Nelson Mandela, planted the first seeds of hope. When in his first sentence spoken in this parliament, he said, "The time will come when our nation will honor the memory of all the sons, the daughters, the mothers, the fathers, the youth, and the children, who by their thoughts and deeds gave us the right to assert with pride that we are South Africans, that we are Africans, and that we are citizens of the world." Honorable Chair, the responsibility to deliver on this right rests with this department. It is the work that this department does that proves that we are South African, that proves that we are African, and that proves that we are citizens of the world. The work of this department impacts on the lives of every single South African and foreigner that enters our country. This is why, Honorable Chair, all of us have a responsibility to make certain that this department delivers on its responsibilities in a manner that helps us change the lives of all South Africans and breathes life into the hope and vision that Nelson Mandela had for us 20 years ago. Lest I be accused of only criticizing, we must recognize that since 1994, this department has made many positive advances. We can document the many millions of South Africans whose rights and dignity previously denied by the apartheid government have now been restored. The reduction in time it takes to process and deliver passports is yet another example of the many successes of this department. But we must continue to make advances in changing the lives of our people, and we have a long road yet to walk. Millions of South Africans still walk our streets every day without the dignity of a decent job, and this department is not excluded from the responsibility of contributing towards job creation. Take, for example, the advice of the National Development Plan, where it promotes the migration of scarce skills into the country, a key contributor towards the development of a competitive commercial and industrial environment. We all know that South Africa has a skills shortage. This is without a doubt of the legacy of apartheid. It is imperative that we urgently address this problem in a positive manner. But the new immigration regulation sets us on a path to achieve the complete opposite. This is probably one of the worst pieces of legislation that I have come across in a very long time. Nothing that this department has done before will contribute more towards job losses in our country than the new immigration regulations. And let me tell you why. Honorable Minister, if you are serious about building our skills base, you will reduce the barriers of entry for scarce skills instead of fortifying them. If you are serious about increasing our skills base, then you will offer incentives to attract scarce skilled people, such as offering fee-free visas. But instead, you've now added a further surcharge of 1,350 Rand, which VFS Global charges, which is a UK-based private company anyway. Then there are also huge backlogs in the issuing of permanent and temporary permits. A further requirement, and further requirements for permits only complicate this situation. Honorable Minister, the solution is glaringly obvious. Open up our borders and lay down the red carpet for those who have the skills we require to build this country. Instead, Honorable Minister, you are doing the complete opposite. The new regulations will undeniably make it even more difficult for skilled foreigners who legally apply to enter South Africa. Now, in an environment where our borders are so porous and millions of illegal foreigners who are already in South Africa are slipping through the net because of a weak inspectorate division, we will end up with a situation where skilled foreigners will look elsewhere for work whilst unskilled illegal foreigners roam free in South Africa. This approach only promotes a breeding ground for more xenophobic attacks in South Africa and does little to promote economic growth and job description. Let me illustrate another reason why your regulations are a bad idea. In future, anyone traveling with a minor abroad will require an unabridged birth certificate. Now, anyone who has recently applied for an unabridged birth certificate will tell you that the experience is a nightmare. In fact, it's probably easier and faster to get a divorce in our country. Although the department promises delivery in weeks, in many instances it takes months. The main reason why it takes so long is because someone up there in Pretoria has to manually verify the details of the parents before they can issue the certificate. Now, just picture in your mind what a primitive system we have when someone up there is probably running between hundreds of boxes trying to find documents to prove a child's parenthood. We urgently need to digitize the system in order to ensure faster turnaround times. This impediment will no doubt impact on the number of children who will travel abroad with their parents, and in turn will impact on the revenue that is generated for the broader benefit of our country. The International Air Transport Association estimated that in- and outbound travel in South Africa was worth 24 billion Rand last year. A quarter of this came from people traveling with children. This means that we place at risk a potential 5 billion in revenue because of the introduction of just this one new requirement. Honorable Minister, I completely understand your attempts to reduce child trafficking in our country. But please, sir, explain to this House why you introduce such a stringent requirement when you know that the Department of Home Affairs cannot deliver these documents in time for people to travel. It is more sensible to strengthen the department's ability to deliver on these certificates first and then introduce a tighter control mechanism. Your approach, Honorable Minister, just simply does not make sense.
Order, members.
Now, let me give you another reason, Honorable Minister, why these regulations are going to destroy more jobs. The introduction of VFS Global to facilitate the handling of all visa applications will now render the hundreds of private immigration companies completely redundant. All of these private practitioners employ thousands of South Africans who will now join their jobless counterparts on the streets. Explain again to the nation, Honorable Minister, where do you expect these thousands of people to go when finding a job in our country is becoming nearly impossible. Now, you announced very recently that already VFS Global has received about 4,000 applications. And do the maths, at 1,350 Rand, this company has made some 5 million Rand in 1 month. And you've shut down all of the private immigration companies so that one company can make 5 million Rand and put all of those people on the street. The tourism sector, another reason, employs about 600,000 people. The National Development Plan suggests that the sector has the potential to add a further 225,000 jobs by 2020, and that this sector can contribute about 500 billion to the economy. The new regulations are causing havoc to thousands of tourists wanting to travel to South Africa. Already, Chinese and Indian travel agents are advising their clients to seriously consider other destinations in Africa. I have no doubt, Honourable Minister, that your regulations is going to have a huge impact on our tourism sector, and I'm sure that it will lead to further job losses. Honourable Chair, I can give the Minister another 20 reasons why these regulations are bad for our economy and bad for job creation. But let me now focus on why it's bad for our image in our country, of our country. Honourable Chair, the value statement of Home Affairs Department is committed to being people-centered, caring, professional, and having integrity. As a consequence of the new regulations, hundreds of foreigners who are forced to leave the country because the department does not have the capacity to grant them visa extensions in time are now being marked as undesirable, and they are banned from entering the country for another 5 years. Many of these foreigners have families and sometimes children who are South African citizens. It simply does not make sense why you, Honourable Minister, is hell-bent on punishing innocent foreigners for something they have absolutely no control over. This is tantamount to punishing innocent people for the department's incapacity. These hurried regulations are now tearing innocent families apart. Now, I understand, Minister, that people can have their undesirable status overturned and can submit appeal. I understand that. But it doesn't make sense to give an innocent person, for example, a criminal record and then ask him to appeal it to have it removed. That doesn't make sense. It also does not make sense to expect thousands of foreigners in the country to use only 11 newly established visa centers when previously this service was being offered at scores of Department of Home Affairs offices countrywide. Now, let me also tell you that if you want to apply for a visa through VFS Global in Johannesburg, the next available appointment is somewhere in the middle of August. This office can only accommodate a certain number of interviews in a day, and the diaries are filling up very fast. Soon, one will have to wait months for an interview, and this will have a knock-on effect on the number of people who travel in and out of our country. This will also make us look like we are running some sort of Mickey Mouse operation because we don't have the capacity to meet the demand. Now, Honourable Chair, I want to tell this House the story of a Pakistani citizen who recently had to be interviewed by a Home Affairs official for a residency permit. The new regulations require that the husband and the wife are interviewed separately on the same day and time to determine the authenticity of their relationship. Quite understandable. But this young man had to suffer the indignity of describing the type, the color, and the style of his wife's underwear that she wore to bed the night before the interview. He also had to answer other similar questions that invaded his wife's right to privacy. And this is not an isolated incident. I ask you, sir, is this the caring, professional, and people-centered service that we should be delivering? Now, what boggles my mind even more is that you have implemented a set of regulations that will have far-reaching implications for many years to come without even conducting any form of economic or social impact studies. Honourable Minister, I appeal to your sense of reason. Please withdraw these regulations and have them redrafted. I understand your good intentions behind these regulations, and I'm sure you'll explain this in your response. But please, sir, the unintended consequences are that these regulations are tearing innocent families apart. They will destroy the creation of desperately needed jobs in our country, and they will kill our tourism sector. Even the Minister of Tourism, Derek Hanekom, agrees. So maybe that will count for something. I thank you.
I'll now call upon the Honorable G.A. Gadi, 5 minutes.
Yes, Commissar. Honorable Chair, the economic freedom fighters rise to respond to the budget policy speech of the Honorable Minister Kikab. From the outset, we are unhappy with the budget and herewith register our reasons why we shall not vote for this budget of the department. Your predecessor, Honorable Naledi, on the occasion of her budget vote speech, had this to say last year, I quote, "Since 1994, our African National Congress government has worked hard to ensure Home Affairs restores the dignity to all, creates system for secure identity, and promotes international friendships." Molefe Ntswele of Lesotho Diputaneng was eager one day to fly, and indeed he did fly, in his coffin for burial in his home country. Stelega Kadlela of Dogolwago in Swaziland never lived to care for his big African family. I refer to these matters of the worker struggle in Marikana because an ANC deployee ruled that it is unparliamentary to attribute the massacre of the Marikana workers to the government of the ruling party. Yet it is parliamentary to say our African National Congress government has worked hard to promote international friendships. We refer to that opening statement of your predecessor to expose the hypocrisy and inconsistency of the ruling party in government, indicating left but turning right. In the best interest of white monopoly capital of imperialists of London, in cahoots with the minister, what Minister Ratebe in the presidency called the black bourgeoisie. This department saved the shameful faces of unremorseful leadership of the Independent Electoral Commission from public scrutiny by ensuring it is not drag screaming to the committee briefing.
Order, Chairperson.
It is only
Order, Chairperson.
On what point of order, Honorable Member?
Chairperson, according to the rule number 58.2, at a sitting in the chamber, a member may only speak from the podium, except in raising.
Honorable Member, maybe you arrived late. That issue has been addressed. Continue, Member.
This is the inconsistency and hypocrisy.
Honorable Member,
of the
don't
ruling party.
address the member.
It is not only the parliament that should invite an entity. The department and IEC should have known better that this parliament is new and budget vote scrutiny is preceded by entities' appearance before the committee. So disrespectful, IEC never found it in its conscience as a courtesy to be part of this historical landmark budget vote by the EFF. The massive irregularities with complicity of IEC staff and leadership, coupled with deliberate inefficiency despite excessive resources, did not escape the eagle eye of EFF. It took just a few insane individuals in well-respected countries to slam their society into civil strife of untold magnitude over elections, and in South Africa, it could not be the EFF. The nonchalant attitude of the presiding officers, their assistants, outright collusion and manipulation of records is well documented and known. If only South Africa can order forensic audit of the elections, they will understand the magnitude of corruption and fraud perpetrated by IEC officials in these elections, and the victors will not be proud of their victory. We were there, we saw it, we have evidence. Hence, they could not come before the committee on the budget briefing, yet they want 1.6 billion rand allocated and appropriated to them to be approved. The Department of Home Affairs officials do not take the parliament serious in that they refuse to even spend a few minutes taking on board the new parliament on the evolution and implications of the widely criticized immigration rules. Despite passionate plea to be assisted so as to defend the department in the attacks over promulgation of these regulations, The leadership of the department demonstrated outright arrogance and flatly refused in a hurry back to Pretoria, pretending that the brief is so intense and complicated, it needs the whole day or week to brief members, as if members are willfully illiterate. The relationship of every department, Honorable Kikaba, that we have headed with the Gupta family TV and newsprint media leaves much to be desired. The EFF shall not support a budget vote which will benefit the Gupta family in advertisement revenues, a family that unashamedly violated the sacred land of war, the Waterkloof Air Base. In the circumstances, the economic freedom fighters vehemently reject the budget vote of Home Affairs anchored on the NDP 2030 vision, a neoliberal and white monopoly capital policy
Honorable
not
member,
different from
your
here.
time has expired.
Thank you.
Thank you. On the next speaker, Honorable S.J. Nkomo, 4 minutes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, the Minister, members and guests. Let me first begin by saying that the Inkatha Freedom Party supports this vote. This is a portfolio that remains very close to our hearts and the heart of our leader, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, and as such, we keep an extra keen eye on it, as well as its various entities. No department is without its challenges, and it is in this regard that we wish to raise the following points of concern. The first point is that the department, in its presentation to the Portfolio Committee in July, produced a budget analysis which reflects substantial amounts as savings, which in fact are a sugar-coated way of saying we underspent. And this is by millions. In 2013-14, we note the underspending equivalent to 2.7% less than the budget allocated, which is similar to the 2.6% department underspending in 2011 and 2012. This equates to a consistent underspending of approximately 3%, which is above the 1% usually considered acceptable by Treasury. The IFP is not at all surprised that the Treasury has just reduced the departmental budget, as money unspent only hinders our country's development. Honorable Chair, money which is not spent and which is kept in a department is money which should have been given to other departments to further programs, which would have been programs of quality to our country. A qualified Auditor General's report does not help either. We also note that this will, all in likelihood, hamper the department's plans for its new vision. I think the new vision the Minister has spoken about, the Chairperson as well as all other members, which is such a beautiful vision. The IFP notes that out of the 6.6 billion rands which have been allocated, definitely with this type of underspending, we will definitely see a lot of underspending happening as well. And we would like to recommend that Treasury should, through the interaction with the department, should review its template on writing out on spending patterns, on underspending, on overspending, and on savings, so that it should reflect the reality of the situation. The second point is that out of our 72 ports of entry being managed, are they actually being managed very well? Because we seem to be having problems in some of the borders, as has been stated, and something has got to be done. Such porosity through mismanagement must be addressed.
Left.
What did you say, Madam?
1 minute.
Thank you. Departmental efficacy is the issue of identity documents and passport, which still leaves a great deal to be desired. Just last week, I had a gentleman who attended my office who has been waiting since October for the issue of an ID, which is about 9 months. This delay, which has been acknowledged by the department, has caused him serious distress in that, among other issues, he has been unable to register the birth of his last-born child, born the 9th of January, 2014. Another point is the issue of the VEC4 forms. When we look at our elections, a lot of these VEC forms have caused a lot of voting fraud, and we will be interacting with the minister in this regard. On the issue of entities, the IFP is extremely worried in the sense that the committee did not interview or have any input from the entities. That was deliberate, Chairperson. It was the committee which did not listen to the opposition when the opposition proposed that even if the entities don't come, let them write down what they are doing. This is unacceptable. Thank you.
Your time is up, Honorable Member. We now call on the next speaker, Honorable N.M. Kubisa, 3 minutes.
Thank you, Chair, Honorable Minister, and honorable members. Right from the onset, I must say that the National Freedom Party supports this budget. You say what's new? The reason why we support this budget.
Order, honorable members.
We have a reason to support the budget, Honorable Minister. But having said that, I must say that you have a daunting task ahead of you. You will have to hit the road running. But of course, the department has made some various strides in trying to improve. I note with a great deal of interest that your staff indicated that there are challenges that have been besetting the department as from 2004. And we hope then those issues will be dealt with. Issues of corruption will be things of the past. And I therefore strongly believe that if there is a will, that will be done. Perhaps with the new centers that you are opening, Honorable Minister, we think that you will definitely take the department forward in order to serve our people, because our people need services, they need jobs. Poverty must be alleviated. Therefore, as the National Freedom Party, we believe that this department can do a lot to ensure that our people get the services that they need. Having said that, Honorable Minister, we note that there is reduction with regard to the civic affairs program, which is not a welcome endeavor indeed. It's not welcome in the sense that the 400 offices that we have are not enough. In the rural areas, for instance, there are no mobile units, no offices, but I think that the department will have to move towards that direction to ensure that there are offices in the rural areas, to ensure visibility. And of course, when you come to these offices, I don't say all of them, but you'll find that there is a great deal of congestion. In other words, our offices
Member, 1 minute.
Have to be user-friendly to the old citizens and all of the disabled as well. To say that you are going to train about 100 managers and leaders and in leadership skills is not enough, Honorable Minister, if we've taken into cognizance that there is a lot that has to be done within the department. I think you'll have to do more. Any reduction within the department and any vacancies that are not filled promptly will really jeopardize the department. However, we do note that the introduction of the Border Management Agency will do something, but it's going to need a lot of technology because it has to be monitored accordingly. And of course, we'll have to work with the other departments, Department of Defense and other departments to ensure that there's security because our borders are porous. Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will now call on the Deputy Minister of Home Affairs. 15 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, honourable members and guests. With your permission, Chairperson, the Minister was at a point where he was making some very important announcements to South African citizens generally and the general population when his time expired. So I would like to use some of my time to just deal with some of those. The Minister called on people to register the birth of their children within 30 days. He further calls on all South Africans to apply for their identity documents at the age of 16 years. And perhaps that particular case that the Honourable Nkomo was referring to would not have happened had the gentleman in question applied for his identity document timeously. Safeguard your documents, the Minister calls. This is very important to help combat identity theft and fraud, which can be a very, very painful experience if that happens to you. An alarming number of IDs are reissued every year due to loss or theft, and many of these documents subsequently lie unclaimed for years at Home Affairs offices, increasing identity theft, inviting fraud and corruption. The Minister also calls on everybody to take heed that they should register deaths in the family immediately to prevent theft of the deceased's identity and also insurance and other types of corruption. And then a very important part of the speech, the Minister wishes to thank the Deputy Minister for her hard work and efficiency. I thought I must just say that. Chairperson, today as we greet and welcome our guests in the gallery, I wish to recognize two very, very special guests across the spectrum of age. Firstly, Mrs. Nora de Kock recently received her smart ID card at the tender age of 104 years old. Mrs. de Kock was so delighted that she'd agreed to come to Parliament today and grace this occasion. Baie dankie, Oma. Ons is baie bly om hier hartlik te verwelkom. En ons bid dat God u seën met baie meer gesonde jare. The second special guest or guests is a grade 111 learner from Mount View High School in Hanover Park. Young Tasneem de Jong was the team leader of an international group of schools who participated in the Commonwealth Games Classroom Project. Where are you? Ah, there you are. The various participating schools had to write essays about their school experience, and Tasneem's group won. For her prize, Tasneem will be traveling to the Commonwealth Games in Edinburgh, Scotland next week. And we are very pleased to be able to facilitate an urgent passport for her and wish to congratulate her and her team who are here today. Where are the team? Please stand. Accompanying them is Mr. Reginald Ashaw, as well as Principal of Mount View High School, Mr. Archie Benjamin. Well done, sir. Thank you all for showing South Africa that in this country, this 20-year-old democracy, success is not dependent on who you are or where you come from. What you have shown us is the truism that real success is dependent on hard work and dedication. It's values like these that will make sure that we transform this nation into a winning nation. We will continue to work within our communities and support our people to move South Africa forward. The Department of Home Affairs has a key role to play in safety and security of our country and citizens, as the Minister has already said. My specific responsibilities, the management of refugees, legal services, and the front office improvement project are all linked to this particular outcome. South Africa is part of a global society where the security and socio-economic realities in one country impacts on another. On the one hand, we have an obligation in terms of our values as a nation to fulfill our constitutional and international obligations to protect persons who have a well-founded fear of persecution or who are escaping life-threatening situations. To this end, we do need to adjudicate asylum seekers efficiently, fairly, and humanely, and integrate those persons accorded refugee status into our communities. On the other hand, we need to put a stop to the large-scale abuse of the asylum seeker system in South Africa, as this places genuine asylum seekers at a disadvantage and creates social and economic risks for the country. The asylum database for 2013 portrays a picture of a gradual decline in the overall number of registered asylum seekers in 2013. Despite this, the activity at the Marabastad Refugee Reception Office suggests the opposite. The report of the department into asylum seeker management comes to the conclusion that there are concurrently push factors in the countries of origin fueled by pull factors in South Africa. And this will continue to generate the high numbers of new arrivals to our shores. One of our major challenges in this regard is that many people who seek asylum in South Africa are actually economic migrants who use the asylum seeker process to avoid applying for a visa under the Immigration Act. The standard push factors include the unpredictability of the socio-political situation within SADC and the Eastern African regions, the continued impact of the world economic meltdown, while the pull factors include South Africa's resilient economy, standard of living, high standard of living, human rights culture, as well as free health, education, and other social benefits. The Asylum Statistics Report shows that, amongst others, these factors have contributed to a total number of 70,010 new arrivals being registered in 2013. Just under 50% of new asylum seekers are from the SADC region, with Zimbabwe being the largest asylum-producing country, followed very closely by the DRC, Mozambique and Lesotho at approximately 3,500 each, and Malawi at 2,500. Asylum seekers from West and East Africa constituted 32% of the overall applicants, and the rest are received from South and Central Asia. 70% of the new arrivals in 2013 were registered by the Pretoria Refugee Center, up from 59% in 2012. The Musina Refugee Reception Office accounted for 19%, or 13,600 odd new applications, 3% more than in 2012. The Durban Refugee Reception Office handled 9%, or 6,400 new applicants, up from 7%. Our decision with regard to the Cape Town office was initially successfully challenged in court, but the Court of Appeal reaffirmed the department's right to determine policy matters of this nature. And we are then on track in regard to our policy to relocate refugee reception centers at the borders and not in the hinterland. Gauteng has remained the hub in 2013 with 71% registered new arrivals, and other provinces received a combined 29%. This adds significantly to the urban influx challenges faced by that province, and the competition for scarce resources leads to other social and economic challenges. A total of 68,000 registered asylum claims were adjudicated and finalized in the first instance at the refugee centers between January and December 2013. Of these claims, a total of 10.6% were approved and 30% were rejected as unfounded, with a further 52% rejected as manifestly unfounded, fraudulent, and abusive. These figures indicate potentially a more healthy situation than one that occurred prior. when a total of 95% of all asylum applications were found to be without merit. These statistics are critical in informing our policy development for the future, and they also indicate that we are making important strides in the neutralization of the negative consequences of inefficiencies in our ASM management. This coming financial year will have to see some major interventions, particularly at the Pretoria Refugee Reception Centre. In terms of the NDP's objective to facilitate faster and more inclusive economic growth, we need refugee policies, legislation and processes which will address national priorities and reduce risks to the country. There are some positive signs, but much more still needs to be done in this area. Legal Services is responsible for drafting legislation, dealing with litigations, and assisting the various units in the department with contracts. It is currently preparing a draft piece of legislation that will lead to the establishment of the Border Management Agency that will play a critical role in securing our ports of entry, but also our borderline. This is going to be one of our biggest initiatives this term, aimed at safeguarding our collective national interest. For the previous financial year, the directive litigation success rate on average was, over the reporting period was 84%. The directorate contracts finalized 93.5% of contracts received for scrutiny or drafting within 1 month. And 100% of these contracts were quality assured. For the next financial year, the Directorate Contracts has set itself a target to finalize 91% of the contracts received for scrutiny or drafting within 1 month of receipt. This directive has also played a major role in ensuring that contracts and work orders pertaining to the modernization of the department were timeously concluded and quality assured, which ultimately led to, amongst others, the successful implementation of the Smart ID card. During the next financial year, we will also endeavour to fill the vacant funded positions within the Chief Directorate Legal Services. In 2009, the Department of Home Affairs initiated a pilot project aimed at revitalizing the look and feel of our front offices and to make them more user-friendly with clear signage to enable proper workflow and queue management. The project has been rolled out in a number of our offices in accordance with the available budget. The Minister has, as he has said, tasked me with improving the client experience at each of our front offices. After a comprehensive consultative process, the details of the front office improvement project will be finalized. Chairperson, honourable members, most if not all South Africans would agree that there has been steadfast improvement in the Department of Home Affairs over the years. We remain committed to further improving our operations to primarily ensure the security of our people and country. Finally, let me extend, on behalf of both myself and the Minister, our thanks to the DG and his team, the Chief of Staff in the Ministry and all the officials in the Ministry. And finally, let me take this opportunity to thank our Minister, whose impeccable leadership and collegial approach is most exemplary. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. I'll now call upon Honorable Mnesi.
Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Ministers, Honorable Deputy Ministers present, the Director General of Home Affairs, officials, guests in the gallery. The birth of our nation in 1994 demonstrated the strength of centripetal and centrifugal forces in shaping the polity and developmental path of any nation. While some, for fear of the unknown, hastily rush out to unknown lands, abandoning the land that had imparted to them a bogus status of Bas and Mrs., and catapulted them to opulence those in their motherland could only dream of. Torrents of others, for hope of an imminent better life for all, rained into our beautiful country. Those who knew and trusted the ANC knew that a true democracy was on its way, and those who understood our values of Ubuntu knew that no home would be better than the one the ANC of South Africa was building. In describing the human spirit of South Africa, of South Africans, our father, O.R. Tambo, said, "The statement which declares that South Africa belongs to all who live in it is a drastic concession on the part of the African people, but it is a demonstration of the willingness of the African people to live in South Africa with everybody who wants to live there on the basis of absolute equality, no racism, no racial discrimination, no superior race, and no inferior race. On that basis, South Africa belongs to all who live in it." You need to go through history to understand how this declaration has been abused by some because they prefer and still continue to prefer only one part of the deal. Ubaba Tambo made it clear that the declaration is not unconditional, but is based on absolute equality. Honorable Chairperson, the question is not whether people come from South Africa or who comes through our borders, but it is why people have to come through our borders. Unfortunately, reality has it that not all who come through our borders have honorable intentions and bona fide motives. Some come into our country to help to us build our developmental state. To those we say, this is our home, come, let us build a nation steeped in unity and plurality. Join us on our journey to a national democratic society. However, Honorable Chairperson, some, like a thief in the night, come with the purpose of harming our beautiful nation and country. To those we say, the time has come to turn the tide. We never had criminals in mind while building a constitutional supremacy. This land of our forefathers, as President Makhatho said, shall never, under our watch, become a hideout for criminals. Statistics demonstrate that more than 95% of those claiming asylum in South Africa are not genuine asylum seekers. Kodwa abantu nje abazosifunela amathuba emisebenzi kuyaziwa ukuthi laba bahlobo bethu bavunyelwa ukuba baziphilise ngenkathi beselinde izimpendulo zezicelo zabo. Abanye ke sebezibonela amathuba ukuthi ukuze bamkeleke eSouth Africa kufanele okungenani bashade nabantu baseNingizimu Afrika imshado engekho emthethweni. Abanye baze bazifunele nezitifiketi zokuzalwa ezingekho emthethweni, abanye baze babe nezingane nabantu baseNingizimu Afrika. The above mentioned challenges call for new measures. South Africa must take steps to be able to refuse asylum and asylum seekers who have transited through one or more safe countries. The UN Convention on Asylum Seekers provides for the first safe country rule, which states that an asylum seeker should seek refuge in the first safe country that she or he reaches in this regard. South Africa should exercise its right to refuse to grant refugee status to asylum seekers who have traveled through safe countries. Njengoba sazi ukuthi abanye basuke emazweni akude badlule wonke amanye amazwe aphephile beze la eNingizimu Afrika bazocasha. Besho ukuthi besabela izimpilo zabo. Abanye sibabona ngeinsuku zamaholiday sebahamba baphinde bavakashele ihlobo zabo. Lokhu kushiya nombuzo ethi umuntu uvakasha kanjani uma ngabe ecashile ebalekela ukubulawa ezweni lakhe. It is crucial that system be put in place to effectively and efficiently manage economic migrants. We all should not forget that there are strong historical flows of labor between certain Southern African countries and South Africa. Movement of the people in and out of the country is inalienable to trade operations. Economic and development, immigration, and border management continue to be critical to balancing security and development interests. The Border Management Agency should thus be strengthened, and the department should play a crucial role in its strategies and operations to ensure that only the appropriately documented find their way to the country. The department should also strengthen its management of asylum seekers. There should be a strict adherence to international conventions and protocols. The ANC 53rd National Conference in December 2012 deliberated on the state of home affairs as a key function of the state. Conference raised its concern over the presence of undocumented migrants in the Republic, which poses both an economic and security threat to the country. It deliberated the challenges relating to legislation regulating access to citizenship by foreign nationals and acknowledged the initiative of the department by embarking on modernization and development of a single national identity system, which is based on biometrics, to be also used as well in the integrated justice system to fight crime more effectively. Conference clearly articulated the need to reconsider policy relating to centers for asylum seekers during consideration of their status. Currently, the ANC recognized the perception that arises during this process and called for awareness program to combat xenophobia and educate society against narrow nationalism. Home affairs play a decisive role as the backbone of the developmental state and is central to enabling security and service provision. It plays a crucial role in enabling all South Africans to promptly claim their citizenship, their identity, and dignity. A developmental state is unable to meet its essential goals without a detailed and secure identification system that incorporates both citizens and non-citizens who live, work, or study within its borders, economic and cultural activities, and ensure that the state is empowered to organize itself, plan the future, and protect its citizens. One of the pillars of the National Development Plan is the building of a capable development state that can play a decisive role both in development and the reduction of poverty. It therefore is encouraging that the department has embarked on a large-scale modernization program that will enable the state to provide services effectively, and surely the same system will produce reliable statistics for planning purposes. The integrity of the National Population Register is at heart, ensuring that all people in South Africa are and feel safe.
Honourable Member, your time is over. Thanks.
The ANC supports the budget. I thank you.
Honourable
I'll now call upon Honorable Mulder.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. The Honourable Manisi started off by referring to a drastic concession by O.R. Tambo, which says that South Africa belongs to all who live in it. Do you really want us to take you seriously? Are you saying that to the Khoi and the San people who have First Nation status, that South Africa belongs to them because of some drastic concession from the ANC? You can't be serious. Honourable Chairperson, the Department of Home Affairs has come a long way, and we are thankful that the department has made certain strides in that regard. It's also important that the department is no longer not a non-security department, but has become a security department. And the reason for that is because of the practical reality that South Africa has become a safe haven for crooks around the world. And we know that. It's a tragedy that the ANC now suddenly wakes up and wants to take the necessary steps, and we welcome those steps. We definitely need that. But what did we do the last 20 years in terms of protecting South Africa in that regard? We've had porous borders. We have people coming from everywhere, making South Africa their safe haven. Do we really need still 72 ports of entry in this country, points of entry? Do we need 72 points of entry? I don't think that is really necessary. Honourable Minister, in the department's annual report, you referred to the whole question of employment equity and the status of the people in employment of the department. And I know that the Constitution clearly states that the public administration must be broadly representative of the South African people, broadly representative. What does that exactly mean? I know that the ANC government has taken that provision in the Constitution of being broadly representative to mean absolute representation. But you've gone beyond that. In the Department of Home Affairs, and then obviously you refer also to the different population groups in terms of African, coloured, Indian, and white. I don't think that is correct. We are all African. So if you want to do it correctly, then you should say black, coloured, Indian, and white, because we are all African, regardless of what you refer to, Honourable Manisi. But if you look at that, you'll find that what is defined by the department as African is supposed to be, in terms of absolute representation, 79% of the people in the department. At the moment, you've got 86.58%. You've got 7.58% too many, which you call African, and you've got too few coloured, Indian, and white, and people with disabilities. Now, we also know that there's a lack of capacity in the department in terms of critical areas, be that with regard to the inspectorate, as well as with regard to finances. And I want to ask the Minister, and we'll check this in the next report when it comes, that you rectify your own approach in terms of absolute representation, because it's currently skewed and not correct. The fact of the matter, Chairperson, is that we think it's absolutely necessary that we have this new approach in terms of our integrated border management, and we will support that. But the one thing that the Minister must take very seriously, and there I have to support my colleague from the Democratic Alliance, because what he said in terms of the new visa regulations are absolutely correct. What we need at this time is economic growth, and we should not scare people away with unreasonable kind of approaches in this regard. Thank you.
I'll now call upon Honourable Carter.
Chairperson, thank you. I want to start off first to say that COPE is delighted with a minister that is adopting and implementing the slogan of a Congress of a People for reliable, accountable, and incorruptible government and department. The President and his executive profess to having on top of their agenda the triple challenges of poverty, inequality, and unemployment. It does not help when we pass legislation and regulations that are counterproductive to the triple challenges. The new regulations relating to the visa immigration requirements as introduced by the Minister are a point in case. Reports are surfacing that it is having a negative impact on our tourism, one of the very few good stories that we've got to tell. Regulations having ripped families apart and chased potential investors away. Whilst there was clearly a need to beef up our immigration management, were the negative consequences considered, and why were these amendments processed in such a haste? What are we going to do about this? Our government has a responsibility to be responsive. So why do those affected by government have to challenge them in court? Just in the Western Cape, more than 1,000 cases. Why can't the minister admit that the regulations were made in a haste? We're not saying they're wrong, but I think it was just too hastily. Shockingly, recent reports allege that the chairperson of the NCOP has hired undocumented foreign workers to work on her farm. So we need to ask the minister, how are we going to deal with these allegations against colleagues and party loyalists? Minister or chairperson, the 140 rand for a new ID card is of grave concern to the Congress of the People. How many pensioners, grant recipients, unemployed, homeless, can actually afford to pay 140 rand for a new ID card? Did the department actually issue 100,000 ID cards by the end of March, as they anticipated to? Did the affordability actually impact on them producing the 100,000, as the first 2.5 months was set to be rolled out for pensioners? Is the turnaround time now 30 days instead of the 54 days to issue an ID document? Chairperson, importantly, why will a border management agency only be established in 2017, considering that both the combating transnational crime and terrorism and the fostering of trade and tourism are priorities of the President? That is, and from the Minister and the Deputy Minister's side, we can smile. COPE is concerned about the continued challenges experienced by the department. The non-integration of an IT system, taking into consideration the millions that have been spent over the last couple of years, we still do not have an integrated IT system.
Honourable member, you're left with 1 minute.
Lack of capacity in the inspectorate, financial management. Deputy Chairperson, through you, the Deputy Minister, I hope that she is right, that it is not who you know and where you are from or who you know. That also, I suppose, would mean that we will not have any more Gupta landings at Air Force bases. In conclusion, COPE believes that we need to see a detailed plan with goals and timeframes as to how the Ministry and the Department intend to give effect to the vision set out in the NDP. I thank you.
Thanks, Honourable Member. I'll now call upon Honourable Dudley.
Thank you, Chair. As the ACDP looks at this budget and considers its potential to get the job done, the impact of new immigration laws are uppermost on our minds. While we are acutely aware that national security cannot be taken lightly, we are concerned that the new regulations are causing difficulties for businesses, individuals, and families. New requirements for in-person biometric data collection for tourist visas and unabridged birth certificates for travelling minors are viewed by many as disadvantaging South Africa in the intensely competitive global tourism trade. And this is expected to impact particularly on emerging high-growth tourism from countries like China and India, as large tour groups visit South Africa in winter months, providing important business in the off-season. Now, there is an upside, of course, regarding human trafficking. Club owners in South Africa, for example, have previously been able to apply for visas on behalf of women they import for sexual exploitation under the guise of exotic dancing. And the ACDP calls on the department to increase vigilance in this regard. How effectively does this budget actually speak to the issue of trafficking, the need for relevant training, and other critical aspects? Airline representatives have warned that South Africa could lose an estimated 536,000 visitors, or roughly 6.8 billion, and we've been advised that there is insecurity around foreign adoptions as families face the very real possibility of having to leave the country without their adopted children. And this is disturbing in view of the great need in South Africa for suitable families to adopt orphans. Possibly the most far-reaching impact will be felt, however, by more than 250,000 Zimbabweans who fled the political and economic crisis at home after disputed elections in 2008. The special permits they were granted expire later this year. And according to the new laws, if they want to continue living in the country, they will have to return home to apply for extensions. Honourable Minister, the ACDP is appealing to you to urgently consider giving Zimbabweans the right to work in South Africa as part of a temporary permit process. Research shows this would have many positive benefits for South Africa, including increasing the ability of Zimbabweans to productively contribute to the South African economy by utilising their skills in the formal labour market and through entrepreneurialism. It would also help efforts to combat corruption, protect labour standards, upskill the economy and fight crime, not to mention the huge savings for the taxpayer if the overloaded and ineffective deportation system could be scrapped. Most of the 250,000 people are unlikely to be in a position to go back, and options like rounding them up, sending them to Lindela, and then deporting them by air will be a very costly, a very unfortunate and costly business. Honourable Minister, does this budget ensure capacity in the department to enable it to provide the documents it will require South African travellers to present? If not, the call for unabridged certificates is likely to drastically increase applications and create yet another backlog. And very quickly, adequate budget for security outside of Home Affairs offices is becoming even more critical as people, especially the elderly, are extremely vulnerable as they're being attacked by thugs in those places. So the ACDP assumes, Honourable Minister, that you are aware of many of these issues and that you, as much as any one of us, do not want to see the unintended consequences. This is no easy task, but it is urgent. We will support this budget, which will require exemplary management if it is to get the job done. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. I'll now call upon Honourable Rapoti.
Good morning, Honourable Chairperson, Honourable Minister, Mr. Milusi Gigaba, Honourable Deputy Minister, Ms. Fatima Chohan, Honourable Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, Mr. Mashile, Honourable Member of the Portfolio Committees, Director General of the Home Affairs Department, and staff, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. The ANC says this efficient Home Affairs, it is run by capable leaders and managers and staff. And this part of the budget goes towards them. And from the ANC, we are moving and supporting this budget vote. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank the proudly South Africans for giving the first public representative of our continent, Honourable President Zuma, to take South Africa forward. And in the last 20 years, we have witnessed tremendous, tangible changes in the lives of the South Africans. Yes, it is true that our country, South Africa, has done so much within a short space of time. We are really proud because it is evident with the provision of the smart card. Chair, it is not simple and easy because we can see multitude of people want to live in our home, this beautiful country called South Africa. They even go to the extent of doing undesirable things by stealing some of our home brothers and sisters' identity. It can't be. The Department of Home Affairs, through the former ministers, I quote Honourable Minister Nkosazana Zuma, who is now the chairperson of the African Union, laid a strong foundation with her president, with her former minister, Mr. Honorable Naledi Pandor. They said that they cannot allow these unscrupulous tendencies of people doing as they wish in our home, South Africa. We can see
Honorable members,
we can see.
Could we allow the speaker to continue without interruptions now?
We can see that we are having 10,369 personnel servicing 52 million South Africans. And also servicing those who are entering our borders. And we applaud their sterling work. I'm going to outline what this staff is doing in this department. They are responsible for administration, which is only 20% of the staff complement. And they are responsible for providing leadership, management, and support services to the department. And also, they are responsible with the citizen affairs, and it comprises only of 48% of staff complements. They secure efficient and accessible services for the citizen and unlawful residents. And they are also responsible for the immigration affairs. And this department, it is having only 39% of personnel. And their responsibility is to facilitate and regulate the movement of people through 72 ports of entries into the Republic of South Africa and determine the status of asylum seekers and regulate affairs. Presently, there are 354, that is 3% funded vacant posts. The vacant post emanates from the natural attrition, which we believe that some measurements will be in place to promote staff retention. The department does not employ contract workers, which need to be applauded. They believe in employing personnel permanently. I am of the view that Home Affairs personnel that are performing beyond the expected norms must be rewarded. However, there are vacant posts in audit services, counter-corruption, immigration services, chief financial officer, provincial managers, and chief internal audit executive. However, we said that this post must be filled with immediate effect. When I was talking about rewarding the best performing employees, I want to congratulate a Springbok office in the Northern Cape, which won the most improved category. And this office is situated in the remote rural area of the Northern Cape. And it mainly serves rural communities And I want to say well done, because this is staff, they are performing beyond the call of duty for servicing our communities. In conclusion, I want to make a clarion call to our communities out there to partner with this home called the Home Affairs, to make South Africa safe to live in it. Gabo motho tebe patho. So action must be taken to stop these unscrupulous tendencies, to educate, to inform, to stop corruption at all costs. Yesterday, when I was reading the Sowetan, in bold, con women on the prowl, immigrants made to buy fake permits. The question is, why going to the corners and not to the Home Affairs offices? That is not an employee of the Home Affairs. I'm calling to you seated here in the gallery that we must be patriotic and we should be proudly South African. We are not going to allow shortcuts as some of our members, honorable members, are requesting. Please give our minister time to build this home that called South Africa. Chair Minister, Deputy Minister, Director General, don't give up now. We come too far from where we started from. Nobody told us the road could be easy. We don't believe that God brought us too far to leave us. Forward, we are marching by taking South Africa forward. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I now call upon Honorable Phil Glenn.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, Honorable Minister, Deputy Minister, Director General, Chairpersons of the entities, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Chairperson, allow me to congratulate the Minister into his new post. Sir, we are here to work with you to better South Africa. My colleague, Honorable Hussein, has dealt with the rest of the issues. I will focus only on the departmental entities, Independent Electoral Commission, Government Print Works, and the Film and Publication Board. On the IEC, Honorable Chairperson, please allow me to congratulate the IEC Chairperson Advocate Patsy Tlakula and all other commissioners and the CEO for delivering credible, free, and fair elections. We pride ourselves on your success. Keep on doing a good job. However, we are concerned with the continued negative publicity around the chairperson and her involvement in the tender debacle. The DA hopes this matter will be concluded timelessly. Honorable Chairperson, I am also compelled to emphasize the need for the appointment of credible employees to this body. This is with particular reference to the presiding officers who are responsible for ensuring free and fair elections, which is arguably the single most important feature of participation in a democracy. While we congratulate your performance in this respect, there are some who don't know the difference between their party affiliation and the work they do for the IEC during elections, and that has the potential to derail democracy. On the government print works, has been an example of a well-run state entity. It is efficient, effective, and sustainable. It has a long history of manufacturing security printed matters, such as passport and visas, and related publishing, production, and dissemination services of the highest quality for government institutions. Today, it ranks as one of the most progressive security printing, especially in Africa. It boasts a high-tech production plant with world-leading equipment. However, we need to find a model that will help them retain and attract more qualified and experienced personnel to continue with the great work that the GPW has been doing. Honorable Chairperson, the budget allocated to the Smart ID card must be spent properly on the intent course. We also appeal that this project should be delivered within the prescribed time period and ensure that all South Africans hold a smart card ID on hand. In addition, there has been some controversy surrounding the Smart ID card project. Many do not understand its value and the important information regarding this project. Therefore, it will be of great significance to create awareness to increase the understanding of this project among South Africans. This can be done through mobile awareness campaigns and advertisement, such as pamphlets and posters in the different communities. The Film and Publication Board needs to devise a plan to create strong branding and public awareness campaign, ensuring that every citizen understands their role and the kind of programs the organization is offering. The FPB deals with film, games, and publication industries. Remarkable technological development are noticeable in all three industries. The volume and ability of the FPB needs to reflect this development in order to better position itself to efficiently regulate this growing and technological advanced industry. Honorable Chairperson, the FPB needs to be protected as a vital institution in South Africa. As with the case regarding Brett Murray painting, the FPB's duties were at times undermined by political interference, which inhibited the institution's purpose. The FPB role in South Africa is still vital to protect our children from unsuitable and potentially harmful contents in programming, and its purpose should be preserved and upheld. Honorable Minister, I want to ensure you, through the chairperson, that if the executive, the department, and the portfolio committee all work together, we will do our part to deliver successful service to all people of our country. Honorable Chair, let me just add this. To congratulate the DG and DDGs for their commitment to building a better quality services. This is probably the only department where the DG and DDG puts their private cell phone numbers on their website for the benefit of the public. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I now call upon Honorable Gumede.
Thank you, and thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, esteemed ladies and gentlemen, I stand up firstly to thank the Minister and his team for issuing us with smart cards. It's only smart people that can issue smart cards, and you have made us proud as South Africans, and I say thank you for that. And I'm sure it's on behalf of many of us in this House, both in the ANC and in the opposition. Secondly, the ANC in its 20 years in government has brought about a lot of changes for the better, and it is continuing to deliver to improve the quality of life, particularly for the poor and particularly for the marginalized. In that process, there have been many lessons in government that have brought about new ideas, concepts, and a new way of doing things. Among these has been the realization that for better governance, the government has to be in partnership with different organs of civil society. That includes the private sector, and to develop an inclusive approach in planning as well as in implementation. This has resulted in the National Development Plan, which was a product of a situational analysis by the National Planning Commission. This long-term plan had been adopted by all parties of parliament in 2012, thereby becoming the blueprint of the nation owned by the nation, owned by all. We therefore expect every plan of government to be aligned to the National Development Plan. Let me implement my part, let you implement your part, let us all implement our part, and South Africa will be a great country. This plan was intended to take us to 2030 and thus help to lift us from a situation of poverty and inequality to where we have a more prosperous society that is more equitable and more inclusive. This is a journey with a number of steps, like reducing unemployment, expanding and improving infrastructure, improving efficiency in the use of available resources, to move an inclusive planning approach, to improve the quality of education. Here we see that the department has introduced an academy to make sure that the skills development in the department are apt, proper, and will make the department more professional. To build a more capable state, to fight and eliminate corruption, and to unite the nation and build a coherent society. Moving forward, as South Africans, we have started holding hands together. Let us move on. Coming back to the Department of Home Affairs, then, the question arises, is the department laying a foundation for the National Development Plan? If so, what have they taken? What steps have they taken? 2, does their medium-term strategic framework talk to the National Development Plan? If so, what are the relevant facts? This is done to check whether the short to medium-term strategies of the department are aligned to the National Development Plan. And that is our duty of oversight, to make sure that what government says, what government promises, it's what it does every day. From what the department reports, its contribution to the National Development Plan was, among others, inclusion of all citizens in democracy and development, what was enabled by 1, providing all people identity documents, and a security system has helped the poor and reduced corruption. Increased its efficiency in issuing identity documents to the poor, especially in rural areas. Increasing its capability and efficiency in the management of immigration. IT modernization programs for more efficiency and security, and promotion of nation building by providing the same services to all residents in over 400 service points. Here, 400 service points is quite a lot, but the ANC will be the first to say that is not enough. And it will be the same to say, let us, together with public representatives, make sure that we do better, either by mobile cars or by mobile offices, or whatever proposals we have. So come up with proposals. Do not demonize the program. It's working so well, and it's working for South Africa. We consider these to be the building blocks to the bigger picture in our journey to 2030 and the national development plans. Similarly, the medium-term strategic framework focuses on the border management, the agents' feasibility is a matter of interest as it looks forward to better capability in border management and control. And this is a matter of concern, and we are happy that the department is taking responsibility, it is taking accountability to address this problem. The improvements in the national identification system backed by training and capacity building gives us hope that in future our identification documents based on biometric data will not fall easily to the hands of criminals and the corrupt. Here the fear, Mr. Hussein, is that if we do not do these things, the drug traffickers, the child traffickers will have a field day in South Africa. So it is a measure that government is taking, and the minister was the first to say his doors are open to those who have a better advice. So please just go to the minister and give him advice. Howling is not going to assist there, but definitely if you go to the minister and give him advice, perhaps that will be more effective. When we talk about being more efficient, more effective, we are talking about methods that work. Howling does not work. And going forward, it is evident that the department has aligned many of its plans with the National Development Plan. The governing party has had a lot of lessons in the past 20 years in government. As the honorable member Nisi has said, that in its 53rd conference, it adopted a number of positions after noting the following. One, that the presence of undocumented migrants pose an economic as well as a security threat to our beautiful country, South Africa. Two, the many asylum seekers that do not qualify for refugee status or protection. The question that has been asked is that what are we doing about it? That is the new immigration regulations are trying to address that situation. Some weaknesses in cross-border management has been noted, and thus the Border Management Agency has been formed. Challenges relating to legislation regulating access to citizens by foreign nationals, that is what the immigration, the regulations and legislation has been formulated for. The need to balance the inward flow of low-skilled labor to curtail the negative impact it has on domestic employment. Here again, Mr. Hussein, we make a difference between skills. There are skills that are scarce, there are skills that are critical, there are skills that South Africans have. Where we have those skills, we say people from other countries should not come and walk into jobs that ought to be ours, because we've got those skills. We cannot allow a situation where people of South Africa that are paying taxes should be displaced by people coming from elsewhere. But surely, where skills are critical, there is a list that can be updated every year, and there is a process to follow. Where there are scarce skills, there are processes and regulations to follow. Just get familiar with them, and then this debate will give more light than heat, because South Africa needs more light going forward than heat. We have had heated debates, we have had struggles. Now we need to move forward as a united nation. That is why we say we are nation building. We should have a coherent society in South Africa. Moving forward, the department has largely responded, I've said that. So viewing the annual performance plan 2013-2014, it is evident that in responding to the above, a significant shift in new ideas and concepts has started. That is the shift to modernization in developing the national identity system that requires an applicant for an identification document present herself personally to take a photo and use a fingerprint for identification, among others. The positive identification of children is also necessary to prevent child trafficking. The Minister of Home Affairs is on record saying his doors are open on this matter, and so please engage him. It's more constructive because it builds a stronger South Africa. Chairperson, we shall continue to closely monitor the priorities of the department, which had been stated as effective management of immigration. It's stated as design a secure national identity system, modernize home affairs, the office front, improve service delivery, and promote good governance, develop officials that are ethical, patriotic, and academic. Here we can actually see that the academy is trying to address that. Visible and firm action in the fight against corruption. Here we also invite the media houses to publish actions of government against corruption. There are many.
Honourable Member, your time is over.
Thank you very much. The Department of Home Affairs is smart, and we adopt this. We move that we adopt this budget.
May I now call upon the Minister of Home Affairs.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The Honorable Kumete suggests that the Minister, he calls on honorable members to advise the Minister on these regulations. And the Minister supports that. But the Minister suggests that before the Minister is advised, the honorable members must please read the regulations so that the Minister is given advice not based on the media analysis of analysts who themselves have not read the regulations. It will not help. You see, for example, one honorable member spoke at length about the scarce skills permit. It's not there anymore. We have a critical skills visa. we've actually made one permit to be a permit, and that is the permanent residence permit. And the member goes on and on about a whole number of things that he obviously has absolutely no idea about, and says regulations will destroy tourism, but he doesn't elaborate how. He's clearly read this from somewhere, but he's not applied his own mind to it. The honorable member says that the 1,300 rand is a barrier to entry. And I find that preposterous, because it's ludicrous to actually suggest that a skilled UK or US or German engineer would fail to afford 100 euro, but he can afford 4,000 up to 20,000 rand to an immigration practitioner. Absolutely ludicrous. I cannot begin to understand what that means. There are many people who deliberately and maliciously overstay in South Africa because they know they can pay their way out if you say the penalty is a fee. So what you have is an immigration regulation that serves the rich and punishes the poor. Because the poor cannot afford to pay the penalty fee, and the rich can afford, and they deliberately overstay, don't renew their visas or permits, and they know that, no, if I'm being asked about this, I'll just pull out my wallet and pay whatever the fee it is that I'm being charged. What happens to the poor who doesn't have the same amount of money? We need to standardize the penalty to ensure that the penalty that applies to the poor African immigrant will also apply to the rich European immigrant. That's what we need to do. And that's what these regulations are trying to achieve. Now, we are also advised that the decision to give this program for visa applications to a private sector company is apparently wrong because it will destroy the jobs for immigration practitioners. But immigration practitioners are in business insofar as Home Affairs is inefficient. So if you improve efficiencies at Home Affairs, you then ruin their businesses. So in order to keep them in business, you must keep Home Affairs inefficient. What type of logic is this? What type of logic is this? No, it's DA logic. It's your logic. Remember, it's you who are arguing for this. It's you who are arguing for this. Now, nobody has said immigration practitioners must close shop. In actual fact, they continue providing a service to people who seek applications. But, Honorable Chair, we welcome the debate. We very much welcome the opinions by the Honorable Fiklen. We will consider the views by Honorable Mulder about the ports of entry. We are happy about the opinions raised by the different honorable members, but we want to assure you, the debate on Home Affairs is not just about immigration regulations. It's about the totality of the work the department does, and very few members have commented about that because many of them have really been given speakers' notes on the immigration regulations and have absolutely no interest in everything else we do. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Honorable members, there's only one timekeeper. I haven't asked for help thus far. And please allow me to do my work diligently. Thank you. Members, you are reminded that the EPC, Human Settlements, will meet at 14 hours in the National Assembly chamber. And may I say thanks very much to all the people in the gallery, and especially the veteran. Thank you very much. Let this not be the first and the last time you come in. There are more debates to take place. Thank you. That concludes the debate and the business of the day. The committee will now rise. Thank you. Tell your guy. He must stop it. He mustn't
He's not from the
try.
NCO.